2020 has been a big year for Motorola already. First its own foldable phone, the Motorola Razor, and now we have the Motorola H Plus. The H Plus isn't just a rebranded Z series phone, it's a fresh start for the company's product line. This is a device pushed to the extremes and which can compete with the best such as Samsung Galaxy and Apple handsets. Motorola has furnished the H Plus with many elements from the leading flagships. The screen is carved over the sides like the waterfall display from the Samsung Galaxy S20 and Samsung Galaxy Note 10 lines of phones. It doesn't have an IP, water and dust resistance rating, but Motorola claims its design is water repellent, and of course it contains one of the rarest of features on a flagship phone, a 3.5mm headphone jack. The display is 6.7-inch Full HD Plus OLED panel. Its large, sharp and the endless edge sides are very attractive. The display's 21:9 aspect ratio makes this phone feel narrow, meaning some people may find it awkward to use one-handed. Like many other flagship phones in 2020, you can set the H Plus to light up its sides when receiving notification. Another great feature is the 90Hz refresh rate, meaning smooth video and gameplay. The phone's specs are top tier, from its Snapdragon 865 chipset to the 12GB of RAM and 256GB of storage. The Motorola H Plus packs a traditional quad rear camera setup. The star of the show is the 108MP main shooter, which can use pixel binning tech that reduces the megapixel count while effectively expanding the size of each pixel to let in more light. The phone also has an 8MP telephoto camera with 3x optical zoom and a 16MP ultra-wide camera, as well as a time-of-flight depth sensor to enable bokeh effect in portrait shots. The main shooter can also capture video in 6K UHD. Pictures taken with this device looks great with rich color and great dynamic range. On the front there is a 25MP camera for selfies, which delivers great picture quality. The H Plus is also 5G capable. It packs a 5000mAh battery and Motorola claims it will last for up to 2 days. Sadly, the H Plus maxes out at 18W charging, which has been the case with the previous Motorola phones. It also supports 15W fast wireless charging and 5W reverse wireless charging. The Motorola Razor's design is a great execution of a genius idea. It takes courage to bring back flip phones in the smartphone era. This phone looks rather good and will turn heads when you pull it out in public. It's slimmer than the Samsung Galaxy Fold and has much more satisfying snap-to-close feel. When closed, it's a thick sandwich but with a footprint half the size of most handsets. The Motorola Razor is one of a handful of foldable phones you can actually buy, but it's the first to bridge a modern Android phone and the familiar clamshell design of the past. The Motorola Razor's P-OLED display is another crux point for the phone, with Motorola compromising on some features in order to pull off the folding design. The main display is a 6.2-inch P-OLED panel. The outside display, called Quick View display, is perhaps one of the biggest innovations on the phone. You can cycle through notifications, use Google Pay, trigger the camera and even dismiss emails. Like the Galaxy Fold, the Razor has a plastic display, which means it's pretty thin. You can feel the hinge and other ridges as you run your finger up and down the screen. It has a dual lens camera setup, one is 16MP and the other one is 3D time-of-flight sensor. Camera setup is fine but it's not exceptional. The main 16MP central camera is positioned just below the mini screen, which means you can use it for both regular shots with the phone flipped open and for selfies with the phone closed. When the rear camera is used for daylight photography, the results are good. The Razor relies on a single lens for all of its prime photography. Sure, it has a lower megapixel count compared to other phones, but the sensor is much big and the photos are more vibrant with better contrast. Fact is, Motorola phones have never focused on photography. The interior 5MP selfie lens is fine and delivers surprisingly good pictures. The Razor packs many camera modes common to Motorola phones, with software-assisted portrait, spot color and brand-level cinematograph mode. Due to the lack of zoom, ultra-wide or other lenses, this is what you will have to rely on for photo variety. It is powered by a Snapdragon 710 processor and 6GB of RAM. It's good enough for basic tasks and even typical games like Call of Duty Mobile and PUBG. It also offers 128GB of fixed internal storage. As for the battery, it comes with 2510mAh battery with 15W fast battery charging support. Motorola Z4 smartphone was launched in June 2019. The phone comes with a 6.4-inch touchscreen display with an aspect ratio of 19.5:9. It is powered by octa-core Snapdragon 675 processor. It comes with 4GB of RAM. As far as the cameras are concerned, the Motorola Z4 on the rear packs a single 48 megapixel camera. There is a 25 megapixel camera on the front for selfies. This device is based on Android 9.0 Pie and packs 128GB of inbuilt storage that can be expanded via microSD card up to 1TB. It is powered by a 3600 mAh battery with 15W fast battery charging support. It was launched in flash grey and frost white colors. Motorola One Zoom was launched in September 2019. The phone comes with a 6.39-inch Super AMOLED touchscreen display with an aspect ratio of 19.5:9. It is powered by an octa-core Qualcomm Snapdragon 675 11nm processor. It comes with 4GB of RAM. As far as the cameras are concerned, the Motorola One Zoom on the rear packs quad camera setup consisting of a 48 megapixel main shooter and a 8 megapixel telephoto lens and another 16 megapixel ultra-wide lens along with a 5 megapixel depth sensor. There is a 25 megapixel camera on the front for selfies. This device is based on Android 9.0 Pie and packs 128GB of inbuilt storage that can be expanded via microSD card up to 512GB. It is powered by a 4000 mAh battery with 15W fast charging support. It was launched in electric grey, cosmic purple and brushed bronze colors. Even at the budget end of the market, the trend these days in smartphone design is for metal and glass to meet together in a sandwich setup. No matter the price point, you can usually expect to see aluminium somewhere, but that's not the case with the Motorola One Macro. This device have a plastic build. The Motorola One Macro comes with a 6.2-inch display panel. This display itself is vibrant and delivers great color and contrast. There's a sizable bezel at the bottom, but in day-to-day use, the One Macro certainly looks and feels like a modern handset. There is a rear-mounted fingerprint scanner which works very well and acts as a nice center for the well-known Motorola logo. However, this device comes without NFC. Running a MediaTek P70 12nm chipset, the phone's performance is quite decent. Motorola's near-stock Android build definitely works in its favor. The software performs fluidly. The Helio P70 packs the same Mali G72 graphics chipset as the Samsung Exynos 9609, so you will get similar gaming performance. Most advanced games will default to medium settings, but we were able to push Call of Duty Mobile's and PUBG Mobile's graphics settings to high and still get perfectly playable results. The 4GB RAM have no trouble keeping up with the multitasking under heavy workloads. It comes with 64GB of internal storage. This phone has a triple rear camera setup. The main camera here is 13 megapixel wide lens supported by a 2 megapixel depth sensor, and at last you have a 2 megapixel macro lens. The main appeal of the Motorola One Macro depends on one of its capabilities, that is getting as close as possible for the perfect shot. What this means is that this 2 megapixel camera sensor can focus from distances as little as 2 cm, which tend to be pleasantly warm. We like the HDR implementation and it does a nice job of exposing highlights and bringing up detail from shadow regions. On the front there is a single 8 megapixel lens for selfie duties. You can record 1080p video at 120 fps. With a relatively large 4000 mAh battery pack tucked away inside its plastic shell and a relatively modern processor doing the heavy lifting, the battery life is great. This device supports 10W fast charging.